What's up, you sweaty nerds and greasy degenerates? So last night was a really big night for the Honkai Star official Twitter because they ended up dropping Black Swan's official Lycone reveal as well as her full kit reveal as well, abilities, traces, etc, etc. Amongst these things, I didn't notice, but they ended up dropping another post, which ended up talking about the relics and new ascension materials, etc, that we already knew about, but I didn't know that in this post, they ended up telling us the full details about the bonuses for the relics. Someone in my Discord ended up informing me about this. I eventually finally looked into it, and yeah, I missed the punch. But that's okay. Now that this information is publicly available, you can click the HoYoLab link, get taken to HoYoLab, and you can go ahead and take a look at it on HoYoLab for yourself. But because it is publicly available, it's now on pridewind.gg in a much more nice and easy to read fashion. So once again, thank you pridewind.gg for being such a pillar of just greatness in the community. I'll link all of this stuff in the pinned comment and description below, as well as the information on Black Swan's Lycone and her full kit release as well, so go check that out if you're interested. Now let's get into the relic sets here because that's what the video is actually about. I want to talk about this set first. This is a really solid DPS set. It's the Pioneer Diver of Dead Waters set. This is going to be something that all players are going to want to farm a lot. I know a lot of us who are like kind of sweaty have been farming the Quantum set and other elemental sets really hard, but this is going to be probably the set that people are going to want to switch to farming now for a lot of their characters, not just characters that can benefit off of this to its fullest, because the 2-piece bonus is very strong, and the 4-piece bonus is very strong, even if you don't get this last effect right here. So what does this all do? What's the effects here? What am I waffling about? So the 2-piece bonus increases the damage dealt to enemies with debuff by 12%. That doesn't say debuffs, it says debuff. That means as long as the enemy has one singular debuff, you will get an increase of damage dealt by 12%. Just so you guys are aware, a 12% damage increase is way better than getting, let's say, for example, a 12% attack increase. This is not as powerful as a buff as your damage increase, okay? So just keep that in mind. So, yeah. A lot of us for a long time have been farming the Prisoner set because even the 2-piece bonus is really good. A lot of us have been farming the Musketeer set because even the 2-piece bonus is very good, even if you're not using the 4-piece bonus. But we have a new set that can be relatively universal to a degree because a lot of players don't realize how many debuffs actually exist in this game. There's debuffs associated with getting weakness breaks. There's debuffs associated with literal like defense shred and other things like that. There's debuffs. If you slow an enemy, that's a debuff. If you freeze an enemy, there's a debuff. There's all sorts of different debuffs in this game. If you have a DOT on an enemy, that's considered a debuff as well. There's a ton of debuffs, so it's very easy to get this bonus, and you don't necessarily have to be a debuffing DPS or a debuffing character to benefit from having this set on. Even just the 2-piece bonus is very good. Now let's talk about the 4-piece bonus. So the 4-piece increases the crit rate by 4%, and the wearer, and when the wearer deals 8, or Jesus, let me start this over. I'm being an idiot. The 4-piece increases the crit rate by 4%. The wearer deals 8% or 12% increased crit damage to enemies with at least 2 to 3 debuffs. After the wearer inflicts a debuff on enemy targets, the aforementioned effects increase by 100%, lasting for 1 turn. So just keep in mind something important here. After the wearer inflicts a debuff on enemy targets, the aforementioned effects increase by 100%, lasting for 1 turn. So unfortunately, this last part here will only take effect if the wearer of this 4-piece set gives the debuff. If they don't have the ability to give a debuff like that, they won't get the bonus. If they get a weakness break on the enemies, they will end up getting a debuff for at least 1 turn, and, you know, that's going to be beneficial. So literally any DPS could technically benefit from this, but just keep that in mind that this last effect might not be up at 100% uptime, so just be aware. But even without this last bonus here, this is still an incredibly powerful effect, because sometimes there's players that are right on the cusp of being able to get the right crit value that they want to meet certain relic sets requirements, like Rudolent Arena, for example. And this 4-piece will give you 4% crit rate. And the wearer deals 8% or 12% increased crit damage to enemies with at least 2 or 3 debuffs. So if they have 2 debuffs at least, you'll get an increase of 8% crit damage, or 3 debuffs will give you 12% crit damage. So this is incredibly strong. A lot of us are going to be able to benefit from this. Even if you don't have a DPS character that can debuff enemies, this will still be good, because you can run that DPS with another character that just debuffs the enemies. You don't necessarily have to have this on a character that does debuffs on enemies. So just keep that in mind. This is going to need some in-person testing, in my opinion, to like truly be able to see how powerful this is if you don't get this last bonus here. But just keep in mind that this set might be the new, like, truly, like, highest desired set to farm by most players. This is going to be the one that many people are going to be farming on day one. I, for example, on my account that I'm not even pulling Black Swan on, I have 2 accounts, by the way. One's going to pull for Black Swan, the other's not. On the account that I'm not pulling Black Swan on, I'm actually letting my resin build up so that I'm going to have a lot of resin on day 1 with that account to be able to farm this set extra. Like, that's how much value I see in this set. I'm going to farm this baby out like hardcore on both my accounts. So just keep in mind that this set is the new, like, super duper high powered set that many people are going to be using. 2-piece bonus, very good. 4-piece bonus, very good. You get the picture. Dr. Ratio is going to be one character that benefits from this massively, massively. So all you Dr. Ratio fans out there, which could literally be any of you, because he's literally been given to us for free, this is Dr. Ratio's best in slot set, hands down, because his skill literally applies a debuff to the enemies, and he wants to use his skill every single turn. So this basically has a 100% uptime on a character like Dr. Ratio. This has a 100% uptime on a character like Welt, on a character like Topaz. This is going to be very powerful. This is going to have a 100% uptime on characters like Pela even, who aren't necessarily known as a DPS character, right? But some people run DPS Pela. Some people run DPS Silverwolf. And by the way, there's going to be characters coming in the future, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, honk, honk, beep, beep, all right, that are going to benefit from this set, and this will be their best in slot set, all right? So keep that in mind. Now, let's go ahead and move on before we talk about that set for too long. That is the most exciting set in my opinion, but let's talk about the last set here, the other one that we have, Watchmaker's Telescoping Lens. The 2-piece increases the break effect by 16%, and the 4-piece, when the wearer uses their ultimate on an ally, break effect for all allies increases by 30% for 2 turns. This effect cannot be stacked. Now, this doesn't necessarily work on every single character, right? This is the new break effect set, but this is kind of like the break effect set for, like, support characters. So Ruan Mei, this is going to probably be her best set, as long as you can still reach the, like, break effect value you need to be able to make all of her abilities work. Because in battle, you need to have 180 break effect in order for all of her normal buffs to work that are built into her kit. So if you can keep the 4-piece on your Ruan Mei and still reach 180 break effect, this is instantly going to give your Ruan Mei and whatever team you put Ruan Mei on a very, very massive bonus. This is easily going to be Ruan Mei's best set as long as you can reach the requirements so that you can make sure that Ruan Mei's kit still works properly, and you also get the 4-piece bonus from this set. So just keep that in mind. Not every player is going to be able to use this 4-piece bonus on her properly on day 1. You might have to farm out good enough break effect substats to make it work. Other characters that this works on, by the way, that you don't have to worry about having a super high break effect stat on, are characters like Asta. And by the way, keep in mind, for you super sweaty players out there, you can put this on your Huohuo. Now, it might not necessarily be the smartest move to put it on your Huohuo because you lose a bit of survivability and that might matter to you. But super duper sweaty players that have high-powered teams that want some extra break effect, hey baby, you can literally slap this on Huohuo. I'm not saying you should, okay? I'm not saying you should. But there's a lot of really goofy situations where we can do some off-meta stuff or some weird, not so obvious stuff. And this set would work on Huohuo. When the wearer uses their ultimate on an ally, Huohuo does use her ultimate on all allies at the same time. So keep that in mind. I do think the two characters that this works on the best are Asta and Ruon Mei, but just keep that in mind. If you find some really cool, fun niche thing, don't be afraid to try it. I'm gonna give this a shot. I'm gonna use this on my Ruon Mei, so why not try this on Huohuo too? I want to see if it works. I want to see if I still have enough survivability with Huohuo to potentially try this out. You never know. It could be really good. All right, I've been yapping for long enough now. So if any of this was interesting or helpful in any way, shape, or form, consider leaving a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one, probably when I make my Black Swan guide. I'll see you later. Peace out.